Next guest, you know her from her time with the U.S. Women's National Team. Dunny, of course, she won a few things along the way. Currently plays, with the Orlando City Pride and is also the Orlando City sideline reporter. Was down there on the field last night. Allie Krieger joins us now. Allie, what's happening? Tony and Dunny, thanks for the time.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing all right.
A pleasure, yeah. So let's. I do want to get into the game in Orlando and all that stuff, but we know there's a bigger picture here today with what's going on. Obviously, kind of run us through your timeline of when you got first wind, because there was some, and I thought harsh criticism of Orlando and Nashville players for going on the field and playing. Although we've kind of cleared that up with Dax McCarty sound, and you heard the sound from Jaleel Anibaba. But give us an idea of what your timeline was when you kind of heard for the first time that everything around you was kind of blowing up and games were being boycotted around the country.
Yeah, well, it actually started with the basketball news and how they were obviously, not playing and boycotting their games. And then, I wasn't sure how, Orlando City or Nashville were going to handle it. Or, the club. So I'm sitting there preparing for the show. We're having our meetings. I'm getting ready to go down on the field to do, interviews before the game. And after those interviews happened was the time I actually got word of, that both teams kind of being unsure, of what they were going to do. And so I didn't even hear from our production crew or broadcast crew, nothing. No one had said anything to me. The reason why I knew is that one of my teammates, Sydney LaRue, who I'm sure you guys know pretty well, had texted me and was like, Allie, I don't know if they're going to be playing tonight. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I knew, why or the reasoning, but I guess I just hadn't thought about it because I really didn't hear about the other team boycotting. And so, I was a bit caught off guard, but I understand the reason and I support it. So I was somewhat surprised that they did end up playing. And I know that was probably very difficult for everyone. So that was kind of how I started. And nothing was canceled, they just kind of came out for warm-ups and then showed up, for the game and that was it. So.
Allie, we were here finishing up our show, and I was actually texting somebody with Nashville at the time, asking, "Hey, is there a significant threat? Are you guys having this conversation?" They said, and this was at 5:45, so there's still a little bit of time. They're like, "No, none of us have even had that conversation." I go out to call the Real Salt Lake game here at Rio Tinto Stadium against LAFC, and by the time I get into the stadium, which is like 20 minutes, it had been called off, it had been called on, we're going, we're not going, and then I see the Inter-Miami Nashville game held up, and that's when I started being like, oh, okay, here we are. From your perspective,
Inter-Miami Atlanta.
Yeah, excuse me, Inter-Miami Atlanta.
Yeah.
Was there? Once this kind of happens, was there any conversation in or around the field? Because I know there were some fans there, but still kind of those conversations with players, especially when in the sideline, you have the opportunity to overhear some of that.
Right. Actually, no. I was just getting word from Sid because Dom was obviously involved with the Orlando City team and talking to them. So that was kind of the only connection I had. There was actually nothing being said. And this is my first game down on the field. So, of course, it was, quite the thrill of like sitting there wondering, what was going to happen. And I'm not, I'm focusing on the game. I'm focusing on what I have to do. And I wasn't checking my phone. I wasn't on Twitter or any social media. So I hadn't really heard, and nothing was, told to me from the crew itself. So the broadcast crew. So I just kind of went on, and just was quite shocked. They went through the anthem and they were still out there. So there was really nothing said about that until the game had already started. And then we had talked about it through the broadcast. And both Evan and Miguel, made points about it, and we touched on it a bit. So I don't know. I'm assuming the players just agreed to play. So that's kind of – and I didn't have any questions for the players at all about, the situation and what was the most important thing at the time, which now I wish – I had gone back and questioned some of them about it.
Speaking with Ali Krieger, who last night was the Orlando City sideline reporter. Of course, you know her from the U.S. Women's National Team and her time with the Orlando City Pride. By the way, you talk about turning your phone off. You're much like me during games, and you're completely different than Brian Dunseth, who sends at least 100 tweets during a game. I don't know how he does it while he's analyzing games. So, Ali, was there anything last night sort of after the game? Did you have any discussions with any of the players, anyone in and around? And I know they're trying to separate everybody because of social distancing. We still have that issue to deal with as well, that maybe someone said, hey, I wish we didn't play last night.
No, actually, all my questions, which now like I said, I wish I would have gone back and actually touched on it. Once again, it was my first time, so I wanted it to be, I was so focused on the football side of things that I didn't really, get into this racial injustice and the problems that we're having right now, the serious problems and issues that we're having right now. And I really, if I could go back, I would definitely hit on that, especially, talking to the Orlando City players and one in particular with Daryl Dike having a great game and those 2 goals and his second start for the club. And I think that would have been a good opportunity for me. So, hopefully down the road, I will be able to do that if, play continues. Who knows what's going to be coming up, but I definitely will make sure to do that from now on. Because I do think it's important, and that's what reporting is all about, and getting kind of deeper than just football. Games, it's about the issues and social issues that we have and how these players are really representing themselves and representing what's good. So, and the issues that they believe in and what we all should be believing and standing behind is really important. So I hope to do that in the future for sure. And I'm kind of kicking myself that, I didn't really get a nudge to talk about that.
It's only game 1. You got like thousands of games left, Ali, so don't worry about it. I'm fascinated. There's such a difference. Tony and I, he does Chicago, I do Salt Lake. We've all done national stuff. Mm-hmm. It's so different than playing. So how was it kind of talking about a product that doesn't involve you or your teammates or your team, because it's completely different having a microphone in your hand and you're analyzing what you're seeing?
Exactly. And you know what? I'm so concerned about, asking the right questions after the game or at halftime. And I don't know if you guys had any advice on that, but I'm more focused on, okay, if I ask this, is it going to, is this what the people want to hear? Is this what, the fans want to hear and supporters want to hear and people around the league? Are these the right questions? And so I'm having to think about that as the game's going on, because you have to ask, the questions that's actually in real time happening during the game, and because I have to prove that I've actually watched it and what's going on. So I was so concerned about that. So then when they threw it down to me on the field, I was caught off guard, and I'm thinking, oh shoot, I have to actually analyze this as maybe thinking as a coach or I don't know. And on the field, I feel like it's difficult to see certain plays, so I'm watching the jumbotron the whole time, the game, trying to find themes and I don't know, just picturing how to analyze it to report back up to, Evan and Miguel calling the game. So I find it really difficult. I don't know if sideline reporting is my thing. Obviously, I love to dabble in it because it's really interesting to me. I love talking football. I watch all the games. So it's really enjoyable for me. But it is difficult that this side of the game is, I commend you guys so much, because it's a lot of studying, it's a lot of analyzing, it's a lot of preparation. And I was just as nervous yesterday as I am playing games. So I was just I just don't want to mess this up. And it happens in real time. So, and you have 30 seconds to really expand on your thought. And that's just, as you can tell, I love to chat.
It's amazing how quickly 30 seconds goes by, right? And you asked for advice, and you said, I was thinking about my questions. And every time I hear someone say that, I hear my dad in my head going, listen, son, don't think. You're not equipped. Right, just do whatever you're feeling. That's what you do. You mentioned Daryl last night and his performance with the 2 goals of Dunny. He's a UVA kid that came out. You got a close up look of the big man there. What were your thoughts on him?
Oh my goodness. I mean, he's such a great target forward. I really respect how he plays. He's someone who, if I were playing, I would love to, find him every time, especially as like a defender coming out of the building out of the back. It's nice to have a forward who's always finding those spaces in and around, kind of occupying those two center backs, which helps open up space for other players around him. So he's a player who can spin on a center back. He's a player who can hold up the ball really well. He's a player who can, lay balls off and then get it again and behind. And he's such a big presence, I feel like, when balls are actually being served into the box, he can get on the end of them. Like last night, it was kind of a rebound goal, the second goal of his. So I just think he's an all-around, like, target forward. And that's something that I feel like a lot of teams really need. And, I remember listening to, I said this during the broadcast, but I remember listening to his comment after the Miami match. And he had said one of the biggest compliments about Coach Perea was that, he has an ability to focus on the development of all of his players and not just the starting 11. So I really think that was a rewarding night for him to show that he's really put in the work, individually and with the team, but more so just really applying what Coach Perea is asking him to do and applying that to the game. And you could see that it's really helped him. So yeah, he's going to be great for Orlando City, and he's proven that already in these past two games.
Yeah, Oscar's a great one. Last one for me, Ali. Rituals.
Okay.
You had to have rituals as a player. Did you find yourself slip? I mean, a current player, obviously, but do you find yourself slipping back into those rituals, knowing that now you're calling the game as opposed to playing in the game?
I mean, give me an example of a ritual.
So, like going to get a coffee at a certain time, like
yeah, okay,
timing of getting dressed for the game, or.
Yeah, I was like the night before, I was like, I gotta get in bed. This is like, it's like 9 already. I gotta like focus on, I'm doing my last preparations. I'm kind of reading through, some of the players again and just making sure I'm like ready to go. And then I'm looking at the time. Okay, I gotta be there at 4:15. I gotta be there at 4:15. So I gotta leave at and I'm like going through my head. Usually you have to be there, like 2 hours before the match. So I get in there. I like to get there early, and I'm like sitting in my chair, looking over my notes and things like that, just getting ready to prepare for the questions. And, it's like maybe a little overboard, but I'm that type of person. Like I'm starting to think like if there's anything that like I need to know exactly where I'm standing. I need to know exactly, what's going to happen at what time, because as a player, my mentality is I need to know where I am at all times on the field. I need to know where the players are. I'm always checking my shoulder. I'm doing this and that. So I feel like when I don't know and things are kind of off the cuff, I get a little bit. So I need to kind of work on that flow. But yeah, I think I was planning my day. I wasn't on my feet too much because I know I'm standing a lot when I get to the stadium. So yeah, there's a bit of a ritual. I got to eat, 3 hours before I go, things like that. So yeah, that was a good question. I like that because at the game I'm like, wow, I'm just as nervous. This is so crazy. I'm like preparing for a match.
She's one of us, Miola.
Dunny, I just realized Ali Krieger prepared more for one game on the sideline than we have for 6 years on the radio combined. I think she says you need to be prepared.
This is yeah.
No, I get it. We get it, Ali.
No, we get
know
it.
what it's like. You got to tell us where to go, where to be. We got to be prepared. We want to knock it out. We want to succeed. I get it.
Ali, great.
Organized. I'm like, oh, who do I got to talk to? This is a mess.
Great talking to you. Keep working out. Yeah. By the way, say hi to Miguel Gallardo. I had him as my goalkeeper in Jacksonville. What a good guy you're working with there. And you guys
oh my God, he's amazing. He makes me sound so great. So I appreciate it. I'm like paying him on the side. Just say this, say that.
Good for you. Enjoy it. Get back on the field where you really belong, and then you can continue to work on this while you're doing it. Thanks so much for the time. We'll catch up with you soon.
Okay, bye, you guys. Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care, Ali. Yeah, you as well. Ali Krieger, U.S. Women's National Team, of course, as I mentioned, a joke, but won a heck of a lot down in Orlando. And as she's playing, working on that second career. Dunny, last night, real quick, I do want to get into the game a little bit. Big win for Oscar Perea because